This is Shae,
And this is Greg.
and this is Pillow Talk.
Yes.
You guys have no idea how long it took us to get to this point right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it took us a long time, and it wasn't me. It wasn't me. Submit. No.
What do you mean submit?
Submit.
I didn't say anything.
Say yes. It was. Say yes. It was my fuck. Ow, man.
That's not submitting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about.
That's not submitting.
Well, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. First, everybody, thank you for joining us again.
Mm-hmm.
We're back. We took a week off. No good reason. Just busy life, kids.
Okay.
No, busy life, kids. Yeah, no.
That's a good reason.
Okay.
All right. Man, don't discount the work that I be doing. That's a good reason.
What do you mean the work you be doing?
Yeah. I mean, you be doing too. But I'm saying,
all right, guys,
speak for yourself.
Yeah, this has been very rough to get to this point. It's been very hard to get to this point. We're gonna push and power through. The baby just woke up. We're gonna see how this goes. Hopefully she goes to sleep. All right. But before we go on, you guys, please, communicate with us as we talk. Give us a comment. We will respond. Give us a like. We like those. Share. We have stuff to say that you should share with other people.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
So
you can get the notifications of when we post and stuff.
Ding.
Okay. All right. So last time we talked about headship. So this week we're going into submission. So first, let's talk about how do you define submission? Actually, I'm going to use my definition first. I think mine's is better than whatever you're going to say.
That's not nice.
Okay. No. I want to go first. Submit again.
Submit again. Go ahead.
Submit. All right. Submission in marriage means selflessness, service, accountability. That goes back to...
And you ain't gotta tap me all hard like that.
That goes back to...
Yeah, what you trying to say?
That goes back to the last part, what I was saying. Say it's your fault. Yeah, accountability, support, and respect for your partner. Then there's another part that says what should be mutual. I guess I'll throw that in there. Why you look at me like that?
Wait. Oh, I thought you were adding stuff. You're saying that the definition says which should be mutual?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'll put it in there because... No, I agree with it. I'm just being a jerk. Yeah.
I agree with that too, and I guess I'll touch on this since we're here. I agree with that too, that it should be mutual, but I think a lot of women will use something like that to say, I'm not really submitting. This is a partnership. And it's like, nah, there's an order.
Right.
Yeah, there's still an order.
Right.
It just means that your husband's form of submission to you would be that he's not abusive in the way that he leads. You know? So,
do you think your definition is better? You think your definition is better?
Of
submission?
I won't say that it's better. That's what
she submitted to my definition.
That's what the definition.
Why are you touching my leg like that?
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry, girl. Keep it right there. Now put it back. Yeah. You can leave it there.
Yeah, no, that definition of submission is what I would say that submission is. Now, if you are asking how do I view submission personally in regard in how it relates to you,
different question, but let's go there.
Okay. I think for me, I guess what it would boil down to for me is, if I were to boil it down, I think that it would be that not just respecting the order. We kind of touched on the order last time. Man, woman, beast. Well, God, man, woman, beast.
Beast.
Saying that men, husbands. Let me not say men.
Can you stop hitting my mic?
I'm sorry. Not men, husbands. Okay, husbands are the head of the household. I think that it's not just the order, but it's also, submission is also, and I feel like Jackie touched on this before. Jackie Hill Perry touched on this before. She said it's also how I regard my husband. So if I'm out, even if it's just the grocery store, am I thinking of something? Am I thinking of him enough to say, "Hey, Preston would like this. Let me pick this up." And so I feel the same way, where I think that what it boils down and how I relate to you is that, and this is in progress for me. I haven't perfected this, but I'm always trying to find ways in which I can be better for you. So whether that is encouraging you in what I know that you should be doing, which we kind of touched on that earlier with my mom, but in regards to that, and being your hype man, and your encourager, and because that ultimately also benefits me, which I think ultimately submission, because a lot of women will walk around and say that submission has no benefit, and I think that that's a
right.
I'm about to say something.
How long are you about to go? I feel like you're about to go in, because I know you don't like to be interrupted.
I know. I'll cut this. I'm almost done. Just with this.
Okay.
So, for instance, how I encourage you. People have probably seen, if you guys follow me, maybe not. You probably follow my husband, but I also do affirmations for you, which I haven't done in a while,
like
which is
2
convicting.
weeks. That's okay. I love them though. They're awesome.
But trying to be consistent in that. Trying to be consistent in thinking of you in ways that even some people might not even see. And I'll give you an example, because I've done this before. If I'm having a conversation with someone, or kind of like just in general, like I might cover you in conversation, whether that means I might not disclose something, or whether that means I might come to your defense, or
somebody got something to say,
or hold on,
who is it?
Or maybe,
come say it to my face.
Or maybe
you got something to say, come holler at me.
Or maybe
come holler at me.
If someone brings something up and I'm like, oh, actually, Gregory has been really good with it. Like, his patience has been really good lately. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
like
hear
covering. You know? Mm-hmm. Oh my God! Don't even make this a thing, please. Don't even make this.
Who got something to say, man?
That's just in general. I'm just saying in general.
All right, you
like a wife covers. You know. Yeah. As well, it's not just the husband that covers, it's the wife that covers. And even people, some women don't like this, but like, say we have friends over and we might not agree on something, instead of me putting you on blast in front of everybody, waiting until I get home to
acting
say,
all
hey,
loud and ratchet out in public in front of everybody, embarrassing the family name.
Right. So things like that. That's, to me, all of those things that maybe people might not even consider to be submission, or submission, or practical submission for me.
Sweetie, you go and sit up here. You go sit up here and fart on the camera.
Say yes.
You go and sit up here and pass gas on the camera. Everybody say hello to Izzy. She's up. Yeah, she's up now. She's here. She's with us. Yeah, she's up. Don't let her hit your mic, please. It's gonna make a lot of noise.
Oh, that's right. She probably already did.
It's gonna make a lot of noise. So you made a good point. I mean, you said something good. I mean, you said a lot of good stuff. See, feisty. You talked about how a lot of women think that submission has no benefit for them. Yo, there's a lot of benefit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with submit. I won't speak. No, I think I can speak for a lot of men. I don't think men require much. They really don't. They don't.
I hear men say that. I've heard multiple men say that before.
Yeah,
That you guys are simple creatures.
very very simple. There's respect.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Sex.
honor and praise.
Okay, honor and praise.
Yeah, there's sex. Um, and that's it, man. Like that's it. And I mean, I guess a lot of men like want the I mean, yeah, the nurturing part, and a lot of men want I want me a meal cooked every night, all that. But that's just other. But I think that those are the main ones, like that, the respect,
Mm-hmm.
the praise and honor,
Mm-hmm.
and the sex.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think that's asking for too much, man. I think that it's pretty. I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying that I don't think that we're really asking so much. This submission conversation can go in so many directions. I'm just trying to figure out
It can.
which direction I want to talk first.
Okay.
Do I want to talk about knowing when to? I've talked about how women are are emotionally driven.
Mm-hmm.
And I think an area of growth for women when it comes to submission is their mouth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I think that's in my notes too.
I think that there are a lot of just unnecessary things that are said that don't need to be said, that escalate into another thing. This is a big one for me. This is
Mm-hmm.
a big one for me, and I've talked to you about it, and we actually just had I don't even know what you would call it. We talked about it. Is I think is this dealing with submission? Yes, it is, because you talked about one of the things of submission. A part of submission is accountability,
Mm-hmm.
and you talked about understanding your spouse and learning learn. I think that that's part of submission, is learning your spouse, understanding triggers, understanding how to communicate with your partner, things like that. And these are things that go on both sides. I've talked to a lot of men.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of men deal with this. We've watched social media influencers and therapists and stuff talk about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is a major struggle when it comes to submission, is submitting to your emotions and thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
because I'll say something to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll say something.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say, Shae, can you make me a sandwich?
Mm-hmm.
And somehow, some way, I don't know how, when I say, Shae, can you make me a sandwich? She'll say, are you saying I don't do enough for you already? All right, and I'm just like,
That's not really a good example.
why? Because it's
That's
not
normally
real.
what, yeah. Because I mean, I don't think I've ever
I
had
mean,
an
I
issue
didn't.
with you
Yeah, I wasn't saying that.
saying you
I wasn't
me a
saying that it's
sandwich.
like a real life example between us. I was just using just an example. Just
I get it, but I would prefer. I mean, if we're gonna bring it up, I would prefer a real one. Like you can say whatever it was that we just had an issue with. You can just bring that up.
She's learning. She's learning, y'all. So what was the example? It was it had something to do with the kids. Yes, it was Chance. Um, Chance had been on a schedule, an education
Mm-hmm.
schedule, learning routine, and things like that. And and we hadn't done it for a while. Shay's generally with the kids throughout the day because I'm working. So she has her schedule with the kids, and I went into the conversation knowing exactly how this was going to turn out. So I prefaced it. I prefaced it. I prefaced it saying, "I need you to hear what I'm saying and understand that this is not an attack. I am not talking about you. This
Mm-hmm.
has nothing to do with you, but there is a concern that I need to talk about." So she asked me and she said, "I already know what you're going to say." And
Mm-hmm.
so I told her, I said, "Can you find some time today to do something educationally stimulating with a Chance?" And after I said that, she responded saying, what did you say? You
I
don't,
don't really remember, but
you don't,
it's normally always in the line of me feeling like you're trying to, say that I'm not doing enough.
hmm
It's always in that line.
yeah. And my thing was, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about something that our child needs, and I'm asking if you can do it. And so I don't want to dive into all that too much. We talked about it, we dealt with it, moving forward from it. But I think that when it comes from a man's perspective, when it comes to submission, I think that that's one of the biggest areas that we look for in submission is being able to to be self, is that even the word, selfless in your, not selfless, that's not the right word,
No,
is
it's not, but keep talking.
to understand us and what we're saying, because it's like a lot of times there's stuff that needs to be communicated and things that we want to talk about, but it's hard to talk about because we have to cater to your
The
emotional
emotions.
responses and impulses
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. So it makes it extremely hard for us to communicate with you. And as much as we'll tell you, this isn't what I'm saying. That's
Mm-hmm.
not what I'm saying. I'm saying this. A lot of women will say, "No, you're not saying that. You're saying this." And you know me. I'm not going to do a whole bunch. If that's what if you've already made up in your mind that this is what I said, and I'm telling you that this isn't what I'm saying, I'm not going to do a whole bunch of back and forth. So I'll just end the conversation right there. I'll say this is what I said, and that's what I said.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't accept what I said, we're at a standstill. We're not gonna go anywhere. And I think that this is bigger than the sex piece. I think sex is the second area of submission that men really look for, um, in with their spouse, because I think that when you can effectively communicate, you can effectively communicate. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you can effectively communicate verbally, it makes it easier to effectively communicate intimately, because a lot of times that's what you guys want. I know that's what you want. You guys want that emotional connection of being able to talk and share our deepest thoughts and dreams and passions and hurts and pains and things like that. And a lot of the times, I don't think men do that because they're thinking, well, she's not hearing me.
Mm-hmm.
She's hearing what she wants to hear, but she's not hearing me. So then when those when you get to the point, I'm sorry, when you get to that point where she can hear you and understand you and you feel heard, it helps her to feel heard because then you guys are beginning to communicate at a deeper level. When you begin to communicate at a deeper level, you build, she's specifically going for that.
Mm-hmm.
It begins to build intimacy and it builds that connection. When you build intimacy, the chitty chitty bang bang,
Mm-hmm.
grows at another level. So that's why I think it starts there
Mm-hmm.
with the communication. Um, and then the second one is submitting sexually, and I'm gonna touch on that for a second. So if women, I'm here for you today, fellas. I'm here for you today, fellas. If you women, if y'all know that you are the only woman in the whole wide world who can fulfill our sexual needs,
Mm-hmm.
why do y'all give us such a hard time? Why is it so hard to submit to that? And I understand that sometimes you're not in the mood, and sometimes you're just not in the mood for whatever reason it may be. But we have no other option unless we go to porn. Y'all don't want us to go to porn. God don't want us to go to porn, or then we go somewhere else. Like, why? If the Bible says it, man. Your body ain't your own, man.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't your own, man. Some dudes are better than me because I'm like, if you not in it, like if you not involved, and it's like, come on, like, come on, let's get this over with. I ain't doing it. Yeah, I ain't doing it. Yeah, I don't want no pity. Let's get it over. Let's get it over with sex. And I want some. I want you passionate. And but all the time it's not going to be like that. But even despite that, if you know that that's a huge part of submission, and you guys are the only person in the whole entire world who can fulfill this need, and knowing that men are visual sexual creatures, why? Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why make us suffer?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
Answer me.
Well, I mean, I can't speak for all women, but I think that for most good-hearted women, um, it's not intentional. I think that when you introduce kids, and if it's a woman who takes her marriage seriously, there are other aspects outside of sex that you have to tend to.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because we have to manage like the everyday, like I have to clean and I have to watch the kids and I have to also have to cater to you in other ways, so my energy goes there.
I mean, we got
I
to do a whole bunch of stuff throughout the day too.
I don't know. Can I finish?
Yeah, of course.
Um, and maintaining all your relationships and trying to text people and check up on people and call people, stay connected to your family, and then try and find time for yourself and take care of yourself. Um,
That's all
and
stuff we have
that
to do too.
is, let me finish.
I am.
And that is um, without even mentioning mental health. So that's just life that doesn't care about whether or not you're depressed, whether or not you're experiencing postpartum issues, um, whether or not you have ADHD struggles. I know that you've been diagnosed for a long time, but a lot of us are getting diagnosed later in life, especially women, because it shows up in different ways, so we don't get diagnosed earlier. So there are a lot of things that I think men honestly wouldn't understand. I just think that women and men or women are wired differently. And I just think there are a lot of things that women experience that men wouldn't understand or wouldn't see as draining activities. There's mental load. And although you do share the mental load with me, that doesn't mean that it's not still taxing and that a lot of that emotional labor is still mostly put on, or something, I won't say put on, but I'll say mostly carried by the woman. And a lot of times our sex drive after children goes down, it tends to spike back up once we hit our mid 40s and things like that. But yeah, when we're in the thick of it with kids and everything, and they're small babies, toddlers, and we're trying to manage all those things, um, for most of us, it's not that we don't want to, because a lot of times I be wanting to, but by the time that I get upstairs, and this is one of the reasons why you gotta contact me on the ring, because I'm still on the couch. I know if I go upstairs, immediately I feel sleep come over me immediately. So it's not intentional. It's just um I don't think that old school, traditional, even with submission being taught, submission is being taught, submission has been taught, I think traditionally, has been taught in a way to kind of where it's like you submit and you kind of put yourself and your needs last. And I think us millennials aren't doing that anymore. And so we're trying to find ways to manage all of this and still give you what you want sex wise, but no one has ever taught us how to juggle that and still be extremely mindful about providing sex on a regular basis without losing ourselves. And I don't know if that makes sense to you because you're not a man, but back in the day, it was just, we're going to carry, the women will be like, okay, we're going to carry all of this. And yeah, I'm just going to lay down. Like you said, you don't like that. But back in the day, traditionally, that's what women were doing. Oh, now you'll take it. But traditionally, that's what women were doing. So I'm not going to care about my needs, what I want. I'm going to put everything in the back of my mind, and I'm going to lay down and I'm going to be prone for my husband so that I can at least meet that very basic primal need. And, I'm just going to be in survival mode. But a lot of us millennials we're not built, just like you men are. Us millennials, we're not built for that time. Yeah, we're a lot gentler, softer. We want to go to therapy. We want to heal. We want to break generational curses. So a lot of that is also saying, I want to meet my husband's needs, but I'm dealing with postpartum anxiety, or I'm dealing with low um, sex drive because I just had a child. Whereas back in the day, they wasn't worried about that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We're just trying to balance it all, but no one, because they didn't know how to balance it, they just put themselves last. We don't know how to balance it. So you guys are experiencing us trying to balance it. We're not trying to withhold sex from you.
Mm-hmm. See, outside of the postpartum stuff, I will never be able to relate or fully understand that as a man. We can't. We don't know it. We don't experience it. But everything else you stated, we men deal with as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a huge load that we carry every day, and I mean, we just have to, right? Mm-hmm. We have to power through, and like, I can't say, you know what, F this job, man. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to work anymore and providing for my family. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not going to protect my household. I'm not going to cover my my wife or my kids or any of that anymore. I don't care about insurance. I don't care about the roof over our head. None of this stuff. Like we don't have the luxury to just be like, nah, like I'm not, I ain't like they're like it just has to be done. Like it has to be done. So I still don't think that you really answered my question. I mean, you said that it's not intentional, and I don't think it's intentional. I mean, I don't think that it's not. I'm not tripping. I don't think that it's not intentional. I know that. I know that. Um, I don't think that it's intentional.
Uh-huh.
Um, but it still doesn't. It still doesn't answer. Like I get it. I guess you did answer it. Your answer is that I mean, we trying to figure it out. We have all this stuff that we're dealing with, and we, you know, that gets put on the back burner. Um, but is that submission? Is it submission?
Um,
Like,
I
is
mean,
it submission?
I
Like,
don't think so, but
so that night, what do we do?
what do you mean? What do men do in general? What do you
Yeah,
mean?
well, in those situations where it's like, okay, I mean, my wife,
Well,
she can't do it. We have to power through and just say, all right, well,
I think one of the things, and this may not help every woman, but I know that for me, and I think that maybe men forget this, maybe because we're both in survival mode. Um, I like for me, words of affirmation is a big thing, and I think that sometimes men think that it's all in the bedroom, but a lot of times it starts before the bedroom. So, sometimes there's also not, the atmosphere isn't really conducive
so and
for women. I know that men for the most part the atmosphere don't matter. You guys can pretty much be half dead or sleep or whatever, and but for us, like, I mean, you said it earlier, we're emotional, so we will be more apt to doing that if the atmosphere is primed for that, and it's not just because I kind of feel like what happens, or I don't know if maybe this is miscommunication, but I kind of feel like sometimes it's kind of viewed as, okay, yeah, you have all this stuff to do throughout the day. Like there's a switch. I think there's a switch maybe for men, but there's not a switch. I don't know what it's called, but there's not something that I can flip on to turn that on for you. I will still have sex, but there's not some emotionally, like I'll be absent if I have all of these other things going on in my mind. That doesn't mean that I can't lay down. You know what I'm saying?
so should women
Do the
still lay
act.
down if they're not if they're not if the things aren't clicking and you're not
I
physically or stimulated to want to do all that?
I think that it depends on the couple. Now I do believe in the Bible, so I do believe, when the Bible says, your body isn't just your own. I mean,
Hmm.
you got married, so it's not just your own.
Hmm.
It belongs to your spouse as well as it belongs to you. And so I think that that should vary from spouse to spouse, because people have different situations. So I don't just want to say, oh yeah, absolutely, somebody should just lay down, because you don't know everybody's situation, and then there could be trauma where
Yeah, I mean, yeah, let's
that's,
not go. Yeah,
I mean,
like
but
I
that's
know it is, but
a reality.
I mean like in the normal situation, not like with extremes and stuff like that. I just mean like on a normal basis.
Okay, well,
Not
yeah,
like the extra added dynamics that can.
spouse to spouse, it varies, because everybody's situation is different, and every person is different, every woman is different. um
So if it's
just because
biblical,
it's, go ahead.
so if it's biblical,
Hmm.
And so right now we're strictly talking to believers. So if it's biblical and the Bible is saying, don't deny your spouse. Your body is not your own. Where then then why not? Yeah, then why not
You want
submit
me
to
to
that?
answer that for real?
Sure.
There are a lot of things that are biblical that people don't do who are Christian.
Okay. Well, let's talk about this one.
I am, but I mean, I can't talk about that and not say that, because I think that to look at it in a vacuum, you're saying, well, this is biblical, we should do it. There's a lot of things that are biblical that we have a hard time doing. Like patience, can be hard for some of us. Compassion can be difficult for some of us. Being Christ-like, what I'm saying? We got a lot of Christian folk who know Jesus but don't act like him. And so I think that regardless of whether or not the Bible says that, doesn't mean that it's just black and white, and doesn't mean that it's cut and dry. I think that again, it's spouse to spouse, and also you have to. I feel like there has to be a lot of grace when it comes to those things. And then, talking about real solutions. Or like, what would make you feel better? Instead of it being pressure on the other, also just because we're talking about women in submission, but instead of it being pressure, so much pressure on the wife, the woman, probably coming at it from the angle of grace, where it's an encouragement. What can we do to get there? What do you need from me in order to get there? What makes you comfortable to get there? Are there things that need to be taken off your plate to get there? Do you need to decompress a few? But I think when it comes to men, a lot of times, I think that when it comes to, I'm thinking about my own husband. When it comes to men, a lot of times, I honestly think that it's kind of like, why are you trying to do all that? And I know you, I know you, and I know that, especially for me, especially with the struggles that I have just to have sex anyway, it can be a lot to even just, what I'm saying, get there. But I think sometimes when you want results, you're gonna do what you need to do on your end to, try and exhaust all the possibilities. And I know when I really want something, and even when I'm praying for you, if there's something that I see where I'm like, okay, God, I'm going to pray about this. I'm going to pray about this. I'm going to pray about it, but I'm also going to move in action to it. I'm not just going to pray about it for you and then hope that you one day get it. Does that make sense? I'm going to pray, and the 9 times out of 10, the Lord is going to tell me, okay, you're praying for this for your husband, but you need to look at yourself and you need to start doing these things, because you're not going to get the result that you want if you're just praying and hoping that it'll fall out of the sky. Does that make sense?
Girl, are you talking to the people? Or are you
I
talking
guess
to me?
both.
Stop saying
Does
that
that
to
make
me,
sense?
man. Yeah, stop saying that. Yeah, you've said it about. I'm
It's
gonna
just
put.
how I talk.
I'm gonna put a number marker on how many times this episode she said, "Does that make sense?" This one was good. I'm gonna say it's probably about 6. I'm gonna say it's about 6.
Okay.
So we're gonna close out here. We're gonna close out here. We might talk about submission more. I think we kind of ended up getting caught up on the whole sex part of it and things like that.
I didn't want to, but
I
you
think that
went there.
there's good stuff to talk about on, like society's view of submission and why people struggle with submission. Yeah, I think that there's more to talk about on submission. So
There is. I didn't even get to my notes.
Interesting. Sorry.
No,
Took a lot of time for you to wait and find those notes. Kind of want to just say, yeah, come on, let's get to the notes. But it's been close to 45 minutes, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, we'll do another one. And honestly, because I really want it. My plan, my plan was to get on here and give like boom, boom, and then kind of like elaborate after I gave my points, and that's not what happened. But it's okay.
Yeah, you guys, this is one that requires. I know y'all got some thoughts on. I know you do, men and women. You have thoughts. Yeah, we said some heavy things, some opinionated things, some scriptural things, some personal things. Y'all probably saw the look in our eyes between each other where, we was like, Negro, what? So yeah, talk to us. Yeah, I truly want to hear you guys' thoughts on submission, and just related to what we talked about today.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything before we say goodbye?
No, I'm tired. No, thank you for watching.
Yes, guys, it's 11 o'clock. We are going to go upstairs and go to bed. Have a little pillow talk. All right.
God bless y'all.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.